pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. At this time, may we have a roll call, please? At this time, may we have a roll call, please?
Chairman Runch.
Present.
Vice Chair Bartels.
Here.
Alderman Hanneman.
Here.
Mary Remington. Here. Karen Malecki.
Here.
Sue Lance.
Here.
Karen Malecki.
Here.
Sue Lance.
Here.
Kevin Schlueter.
Here.
Marion X.
Here.
Glenn Morrill.
Here.
Dale Borchert.
Here.
Meeting this is?
Oh, sorry. This is the Monday, August 8th, Parks Commission regular meeting.
Thank you.
No problem. At this time, we open it up to citizen comments. Are there any citizens looking to make comments?
Yes.
I don't know if I'm on, I haven't seen the agenda, but I'm Don, officially on the agenda, or should I address under the?
You are on the agenda.
Okay, great, thank you.
No problem. Then we'll look to close the citizen comment period. May we look at the approval of the meeting minutes for July 11th?
I don't necessarily a correction, but on the second page under unfinished business, number 4, we have the motion to reallocate $250K for from Parks to Pulverize and Paved Legends. That is the correct motion that was made, but I do want to note it was my error in that it was only $150,000 that was budgeted for that. So, I mean, we did vote to allocate $250K, so technically that's correct in the minutes, even though $50K. So technically that's correct in the minutes, even though the number is in error. So I'm not sure how to make that correction. Do we have to take another motion tonight to?
I might tell you it doesn't matter because you didn't have the money to begin with. I was told it was already gone.
By whom?
Director of Administration.
Well, hopefully it's gone for a good reason. That would make this Parks Commission happy, so I'll leave it at
So if it's gone, I don't think we need to make a motion.
I guess we don't. It's a moot point. Then I will move approval of the minutes.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody
I'm
opposed?
going to abstain because I didn't get the minutes.
Okay. So we have all ayes and one Excellent. I guess to accommodate the gentleman in the back, if it's okay, we'll jump ahead to new business, letter B. The request by Don Dorson, letter B. The request by Don Dorson, Franklin Park Concert Board member, to relocate 2 trees in the Oak Grove near Lions Legend Band Shell. So, Mr. Dorson. Why don't you hop on up so we can see you?
Okay. So hi, I'm Don Dorson. I'm the treasurer actually of the Franklin Parks Concerts. Just a little bit of background because there's so many new faces here that you guys may not know about who the Franklin Parks Concerts are, what our history is, and how we've come to this. For years we've been presenting free concerts at the band shell over here in Legend Park to the public. We were actually created at the request of the Parks Commission about 13 years ago. When Phil Nickerson, I think his name was, had requested of Dale Ford to form the group to present concerts there. So since then, we haven't gotten any fully self-supporting and don't charge anything to attend those concerts. We do about 4 or 5 concerts a year. We bring between 250 to 300 people to the park on average, and at each one of those concerts. So great to see people in our parks enjoying them and doing all of that. So right in the site of, line site of the band shell. But I didn't bring as many copies as there are commissioners, but if you want to pass that around and maybe share it. So there's a number of trees that were planted there. There are probably about 5 or 6 trees. Most of those trees are perfectly fine with us. They're off on the side. But 2 of the trees are, like I said, directly in the site. The lower picture there shows an aerial view that I pulled off of Franklin property view of the approximate location of those trees. They are set a little further back, which at first glance you might think why is that a problem? But as you know, the band shell is set quite a ways back into the woods to take advantage of the natural set quite a ways back into the woods to take advantage of the natural amphitheater slope of the hill there. And a lot of our elderly residents take that path that you can see at the upper edge of that photograph there, and they'll park their chairs at the top of that hill to see the band shell. And you can see from the upper photo, those 2 trees there are directly in the center of their view. So that limits the view of probably maybe a quarter of the people that attend the concert. So not a huge deal, I guess, in the scheme of things, but those trees are going to grow. We already deal with before the band shell was built, do block some of the view, so we have a narrow window. So our request of the Franklin Parks Concert Group is to relocate those trees while they're still young enough. In a nutshell, that's pretty much it.
So for the understanding of the board, so when trees are planted, are they put in place by the city forester?
Yes.
Okay. So I guess we can reach out to him and see what his thought or view is on this.
I did, and he's
thought or view is on this.
I did, and he's he knows the area. This is what he felt was the best situation. We are having a lot of dieback in the park with the oaks. We're losing quite a few, and he's trying to reestablish the whole area. He did leave the center. You know, as you can see, he kind of did it to the outside perimeter of the whole thing. I understand what you're saying if you're coming down off that hill looking, but they are still quite a ways back from the shelter. We didn't put anything up near the shelter. We have to start filling in the center area.
Well, if I could respond,
Sure.
None of those trees are dying. None of the oaks are dying. What he planted are not oak trees. So if he wants to maintain the look of the oak savanna, which it really isn't, it's a manicured park. A little bit of my background, I used to be president of the Milwaukee Area Land Conservancy. I used to be what is to be concerned about when you're talking about conservancy. You can argue aesthetics, but it's a pretty dense grove of large oak trees in that area. There is one open area where he planted these trees. You don't need those trees. You're not that's there for people to enjoy the band shell.
Well, we have had trees dying in the park.
Not in this area. I'm sure you have, without a doubt. But like I said, we've been doing concerts there for 13 years. I've been involved with this longer than that. I don't recall a single oak tree dying in this area.
Have there been any ash that have died in the park?
No, there were 3 or 4 oaks taken out this winter that died.
In this park?
Yep,
Yes.
right next to you can see the scars, the grass didn't grow back, but in the corner, the driveway didn't grow back, but in the corner, the driveway going to the barn, there's one right there. Right across the path from that, where the grills are, a little bit to the east from there was one there, and there was 2 further to the north of the band shell. So there was like 4, I think. Was it 4 this year?
4, and we put in 6, and we have another oak to take out on the northwest corner.
Okay, so yeah, perhaps over by the barn and, yeah, that's possible, but I'm talking about in the area of the band shell. Attend these parks, and our goal is to get people into our parks. If they can't see the band shell and they're there to see a concert, we're not going to have people in the parks.
Well, we have to have trees in the, I mean, I'm getting calls all the time to get more trees in the park.
Absolutely, but they could
As
easily.
near the shelter, near the band shell, die out, I think there's like 4 right in a row towards the right side. When they go, I mean, we don't plan on putting anything back there. We plan on opening, leaving that open right in front of the band shell. Basically, this tree on the right picture is probably the closest that we're gonna see. This tree on the right picture is probably the closest that we're gonna see a tree again. Because the other ones, as they die out, we'll just remove them. There won't be nothing going in that any closer.
Yeah, I'm not saying take them out, just move them a little bit to the north. A little, you don't wanna go to the south, I imagine, cause it gets pretty dense over there. You don't wanna go to the south, I imagine, cause it gets pretty dense over there, and you've got 3 other trees that you just recently planted there, or they planted there. A little bit to the north would open up that sight line again. It's a little barer to the north over there towards the tennis courts.
Well, I have to be careful how close I get to the tennis courts, because then I get the tennis players saying that the leaves fall on the tennis court, and they get upset about that, so
Well, I
I'm
know,
trying to
but-
juggle everybody's wants here.
And the other thing, I guess, talking to that point, it would have been nice if, talking to that point, it would have been nice if the only user of the band shell was asked. You don't have to take our opinion, but if somebody would have said, hey, we're gonna put these trees here, what do you think? Any input? Like I said, we've been there for 13 years, created by the Parks Commission. We've been there for 13 years, created by the Parks Commission, and no one bothered to ask us. So I would think we would have gotten at least that courtesy after performing service to the city for this long.
I guess what we can do is, as a commission, we do usually a fall tour. We can put the band shell to take a look at it, and once we all get eyes on it, we can talk about it and move forward and report back to you with what our findings are, and talk to the forester and grab his opinion. So, probably sometime in the November meeting, we can bring you back and let you know our findings and go from there. If that works.
That's all I can ask, I guess.
Okay.
Okay.
Excellent. Thank you very much. We'll jump back to the unfinished business, and we'll start at the beginning. In updates on parks maintenance.
Dale, anything you wanted to report on besides general maintenance?
Other than the usual thing, we've had some vandalism and I don't know what's going on there, but lately, just this past weekend at Franklin Woods, the bumper was broke. And also on the night of National Night Out, Legend Park Pavilion had some vandalism in the men's bathroom. Changing table was broke and one of the soap dispensers. So, kind of working through that. Specific parks, Legend, I finally got the Historical Society parks. Legend, I finally got the Historical Society bench mounted over there. It's right in front by the city, the town hall, so if you can see it from the road real easy. So if you want to take a look at that. Legend 2, not too much. Franklin Woods, still pretty busy with kids this summer.
Dale?
Yeah.
Have you noticed along the trail where kids have basically built a teepee with some of the downed branches?
Oh, yeah.
And the dam by the creek?
Oh, yeah, they always mess.
It doesn't bother me, I think it's kind of cute myself, but I just didn't know if it was gonna stay or not.
Well, I just left it there.
Yeah.
I know exactly what you're talking
Yeah.
about, but I remember.
My husband's like, that's what I did as a kid in here, so. Take it out.
Pleasant View, I want to give an update on that. It's not nothing I'm working on or anything, but update on that, or
On the new construction,
yeah.
it's slowly moving along. there's some issues that we're dealing with, but it's slowly moving along. Some unknowns right at the moment.
So the court's probably,
Finance issues, supply chain issues.
sure,
Things like that.
so the new courts probably won't open till spring.
I have a bad feeling, yeah.
Okay.
Having a little bit of issue with the mud, when there's a rental and kids are involved, it seems like they run through the mud and then they track it into the building, so that's a little bit of an issue, so we're gonna have to keep an eye on that and try to.
Where is that? Pleasant View too?
Yeah.
Appreciate what Kevin said, the contractor hasn't given us a warning that they anticipate being late, and we do have some pretty good warning that they anticipate being late, and we do have some pretty good charges if they're late, so, they haven't asked for it yet.
What was the date gonna be? Because I know first they said August, then they said July. The last meeting.
I don't know who told you July,
It was said here at the last.
it's never been July. Hopefully July,
He did say that. The contractor did say by the end of July.
yeah, but I
And
don't
then he
think
said,
I don't think they have to get done till the end of August, I think it's the deadline.
September 30th,
September 30th is their deadline.
by contract.
Look that up?
Yep.
Ken Wendell, we've had a couple air conditioning problems there on hot days. One where the air conditioner had a leak in one of the coils, got that fixed, and then this past weekend on the 90-degree day, the air conditioner was running as hard as it could. There was nothing wrong with it, but couldn't get any cooler than 79 degrees. But it was packed. I think there was more than 50 people in there, so. So.
Their cake was melting.
Yeah, what's that?
Their cake was melting.
It was. I was inside there. Yeah, what's that?
Their cake was melting.
It was. I was inside there. I mean, it wasn't bad. I mean, but there was a lot of people, and the renter, the lady that actually did the pulled the permit, she was understanding, so it wasn't that big a deal. So, unless there's any questions.
I want to just back up on one thing. I said September 30th. I believe that's what it is. But I got a couple contracts on my mind. But it's September, but I'm almost sure it's the 30th.
Okay.
We'll check and let everybody know.
Sure. We'll jump to the next item, uniform signage for all parks. I believe last we left off, the mayor was calling somebody and then we were going back to the drawing board on that.
We've actually ended it with the
sign place?
Larry from
Yeah, we took on for the third time, so I emailed him. I asked him if I told him what we were gonna do was kind of end all ties with him, and he responded and he said, "Sorry, it's hard to find good help," and he's good with that, so he's officially done. And she's done a great job. She turned them around.
Yes.
She designed the signs again because we didn't have a computer file, and she's got that done. And we're at the point that we'll take that to TAPCO and get a
Estimate.
quote for that. But I gotta give it to Karen. Give it to Karen. She turned this around real quick. Did a great job.
Good job.
Thank you,
Well,
Karen.
it's there, it's done, yeah, so it's good.
Awesome, thank you.
So, and now you have the files, so you can always, you'll have them, so you can always change them if you need to.
Awesome, thank you very much.
Always change them if you need to.
Awesome, thank you very much.
We probably would want someone to proof it over, because I did retype it and stuff, so if anybody wants to look it over. I don't know, anybody?
Who's the new contractor then?
ECO.
And who was the old one?
Some dude named Larry.
Geetle Signs.
What?
Geetle Signs. GIETL.
We can take a look at those later.
Yeah. I just ran them off in black and white, I don't have a color printer anymore.
I guess we'll move on to letter C. 2022 and 2023 budget, Parks Commission request for information on personnel additions, capital outlay fund needs, equipment information on personnel additions, capital outlay fund needs, equipment revolving fund needs, street improvement fund needs, and major capital expenditures to be made with borrowed funds.
So in your packet was a memo that was sent to the finance director with your recommended budget, which is essentially a reiteration of the previous year's priorities. And so Public Works has also submitted their budget. There's some overlap there that we kind of need to work out still. So I don't know if Kevin has any comments on that, but it's been submitted. I have not received one item that's actually underway already that I mistakenly included, that DPW has already started, which is escaping me which one it is. But I will let you know when we have feedback on that, so. Questions?
Staffing in DPW, and are you able to tell us if you're requesting any additional staff for next year?
I wrote a memo asking for additional staff. I think it's been at least, we were able to figure it's been at least 20 years since we've added a few roads since we've passed 20-some years. Not to mention parks and other things. In addition, our budget every time we turn around is, several years ago we took the fat out of the budget. And that's my opinion, is we cut into the bone, past few budget, as much as we're given resources to do. So, enough said on that.
Was the recent labor position filled, covered?
No, a couple of years ago they did add a position, but we weren't allowed to fill it.
Well, but we budgeted this year rather than labor position filled, covered?
No, a couple of years ago they did add a position, but we weren't allowed to fill it.
Well, but we budgeted this year rather than a half-time seasonal position, we were going to add on a full-time.
Correct, yeah, we did take all the seasonal help.
We budgeted this year rather than a half-time seasonal position, we were going to add on a full-time.
Correct, yeah, we did take all the seasonal help, we had bumped into one labor position. We found it somewhat difficult to pay $20 an hour to find, still open. If you know of anybody, send them our way, but for $20 you can go work at Quick Trip or Target or Pick and Save. And it's tough. 3 or 4 years ago, it's a pretty good wage.
Now we're asking to move that into a.
Yes, we're asking to move that into, so, because we have been able to fill 2 LDOs this year, which is 27.
I look back, we did 4 this year.
You did 4? Great.
Okay.
So we've added some $27 an hour guys. We've had success doing that, so that's great. And then I'm asking for a heavy to kind of help balance the heavies. And lights.
So do the LEOs help out at all with the parks?
Oh yeah, that's
Okay. Okay.
What are
It's just-
LEOs?
Light equipment operators, it's just somewhat difficult from an outside perspective. Why are you paying $27 an hour guy to mow? But last year we actually went to what's KDI? We asked them just for kind of a quote, and they're paying guys $20-some an hour. So it's not like our guys are really above what you'd pay a contractor to do. So things have changed in the past 4 years.
Big time.
So the request is made. We'll see what we
Okay. Thanks.
Excellent. Well, we will move on to letter D. Park amendment, including maps, pamphlets, etc.
Yep, I do not have an update on sending this up to council as of yet, but I'm gonna target to get it on a September agenda for you.
Oh, beautiful.
Yay.
She had that look on her face like, oh no, maybe anything. I think you gave me a correction on the map, so I can just resend it
Sure.
to you or whatever. It was just small, something small. So.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, I'm glad to hear that's moving, something's moving.
One day we will get that taken off the agenda. We'll move to letter E. Recommendation to land adjacent to the western boundary of the Franklin-Savannah State Natural Area on West Oakwood Road.
To my knowledge, nothing to report at this time.
Same.
Do we need to go like shake down Alderman Nelson or something, or? Do we need to go like shake down Alderman Nelson or something, or?
I would just ask for a little more patience.
Sure. Understandable. All right. We'll move on to letter F. Update relative to the request by City of Franklin resident and former Alderman Daniel Mayer to install a flagpole in Market Square Park.
Talked to Dan today and informed him that Common Council did authorize us to put it in, and then I was told that I didn't have an associated funding agency to pay for it, so it's only it's a struggle with finance trying to find that. So,
Did we have an outside party who was interested in donating the bench?
so the bench, there was money given for a bench, but to pay for the
install?
flagpole, and yeah, we're trying to, and I wish I could tell you that it's going up, but it's not. But if you have not been by, the rest of the Church Street amenities and sidewalk and stuff is looking really well.
Awesome.
So when the flagpole and benches do go in, it's gonna be a nice spot, I think.
Take a look at that. Excellent. We'll move to
Not too close, we put a rumble.
Wait a minute, we're gonna talk about the bench yet.
Me and Dale, started looking into it, we're gonna get that ordered. I didn't know you had paid, Mary, I apologize, I didn't know that. So
Well,
we'll get it ordered and, get it, right, because I want the pole to go in first before the,
Well, you said that, and you said after the sidewalk goes in, but it's like 6 to 8 weeks to order a bench now, and I paid for it back in May.
did they get back to you, Dale? At all? What's the price?
They didn't today.
At all? What's the price?
They didn't today. I'm sure it'll be tomorrow morning.
You're ordering it from the same people as Tony's,
Yeah,
Yeah, did they write off that order?
Kirby built?
yeah.
And who's gonna be the point person then? Who do I call to find out if this is done and when it's coming and?
I was unaware that I thought we were waiting for the flagpole, so I'm sorry,
Yeah, he's right, the bench can't go in until the flagpole goes in because of the proximity to it.
I know, but you could have ordered it. I mean, it takes a long time to get things.
And that's what
I didn't
say.
know who was paying for it. I mean, I know you were donating it, but I don't know how the mechanics work to get the money to the,
Do you have a,
no.
Of which one? Yeah, yours or the
Yes.
previous?
mine?
No, because Word contacted Barco today.
You contacted who?
Ain't that who you?
I asked for a quote. Did you already do all this? Did you already do all this? I'm
No,
confused.
I assumed you were doing the same thing as we did for Tony's.
Right, and that's what we duplicated.
And that's Kirby built that
Or
put that
Kirby.
in.
Well, if Kirby and Barco are the same company. We call them Barco, they're Kirby.
Okay.
They own each other. Kirby,
Okay.
They own each other.
And it was supposed to have a memorial plaque on it and everything. You don't have a copy of any of that then, huh?
Like the wording on it? No, I never saw anything. Did you?
Who's ordering the plaque? I think it's a Dan one. It's Dan.
No, I'm talking the bench. The bench is a memorial bench that
Right.
has a different plaque, and the plaque is made by Kirby built the same as they did Tony's.
We'll have to check into it. I think you and I, we finally had to check to Gail, so somewhere in planning, we gotta make sure that process.
Yeah, but you had all kinds of copies. Do you still keep one?
No, I walked you around and,
You made all kinds of them.
I know, I did, but I didn't keep it. I make them for you, make them gave to Gail.
Okay, so nobody has a copy, so you'll have to copy mine to get the
Well,
wording.
I didn't say that, we just don't have it here, so we'll
Oh.
check with Gail tomorrow.
Okay,
We'll check with Gail tomorrow morning.
okay, I don't already know.
Okay, we just need to make sure it gets to the people who actually make the work.
Okay.
Well, can I back up just a minute on that, since, council had approved the purchase. I guess my understanding from the previous Parks Commission meetings and council meeting, that money was going to be able to be found within existing budgets.
For the flag,
For the flagpole, yes, that's what.
for the flag.
For the flagpole, yes, that's what I'm talking about. So, I guess now we're being told that there is no money for it. Is that what I'm hearing from you, Glenn?
That's what I've been told.
Okay.
Did I say that?
No, that's
Okay.
what Glenn said. No,
Okay.
No, he's saying that now, there is no funding source for that. But I
I
think
was
that,
told to find something in our existing budgets.
okay,
We're just-
and I guess, and maybe I misunderstood, but I guess I'll throw it out to the rest of the commission if, that was the understanding, that the money was just gonna kind of be found within existing budgets. Do we have to make this a formal request for budget for next year? Or is this all gonna be on hold and the project completed before the flagpole's put in? Because then bench has to wait.
So,
So I guess I'm trying to figure out how this is gonna get done.
It's only $3,500. I can't understand how,
I understand. I'm biting my lip right now.
but
if funding doesn't come from somewhere else, if funding doesn't come from somewhere else, I'll have it put in using just maintenance money. I already have a date set of August 29th for it to go in. I'm hoping some funds will materialize, but if not, we'll just take it out of general maintenance and hope we don't run short at the end of the year. But we are down, scraping our last pennies here. And I'm not complaining. I mean, things gotta get fixed, maintenance has gotta be done, but at the same time, I have to watch every penny that's being spent.
No, and what I'm trying to ferret out in my mind then is if at council level, a motion needs to be, or an agenda item needs to be made to allocate out contingency for it.
That would be because when I asked for that contingency, I'm told no.
All right. Then I will put a council action sheet together or work with the Director of Administration and Director of Finance, Director of Administration and Director of Finance, if it is the wish of this commission that I bring something forward to council to allocate the funding for this.
Absolutely,
Yeah, I agree.
yeah. Is it 3,500? Absolutely,
Yeah, I agree.
yeah. Is it 3,500 just the flagpole installation? Or is that,
I think that was included in the bench, wasn't it? I think you had me for about 33,000, but she,
but I'm trying to figure out, right, the bench is paid for, I'm just trying to figure out what the
Right.
amount.
Yeah, I think it,
But I'm trying to figure out, right, the bench is paid for, I'm just trying to figure out what the
Right.
amount.
yeah, I think it.
So the bench is about 1,500.
I think it's 2,900, I believe.
no, the bench
The
was
bench was
1,000.
like 5 something.
Bench was 1,000.
or something,
So roughly about $3,000 for the pole
roughly,
and the install, the labor. Okay,
Okay,
just for the flag.
correct, thank you. Correct, thank you.
so I move that the Parks Commission request Common Council to allocate agency fund to pay for the flagpole and installation, which was already approved by the council.
I'll second that.
All in favor? The ayes have it.
Wait,
Yeah.
Dave second? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Excellent. We'll move on to letter G. Street, St. Martin of Tours, West Forest Home Avenue, West Church Street, State Highway 100, Ryan Creek, and Cascade Creek Park.
So the 116th Street Trail is under design, as I think most of you are aware. We got a grant for that. We're expecting that to be let in 2023. We were trying our best to see if we could move it up to 2022, and that's just not going to happen. Permitting issues through the state and so forth. It's just going to be sometime next year before we get that constructed or get it let. Going to be sometime next year before we get that constructed or get it let. I'm not sure they'll start construction next year, but it just depends on the timing of when everything else falls in place. St. Martin Tours. I'm not sure what I mentioned last time we talked about this at this meeting, but the church had some change in personnel on this committee that was working with us, and they didn't like the location of the path that we had established. So we backed up, we've gone back and forth a few times, and they're willing to consider another location, which actually, quite honestly, is going to be a much nicer area. So what will happen is, instead of basically, if you're snaking around, following the edge of the trees, kind of just around the back of the cemetery, this new path that we're going to explore and see if it's possible, we're going to take a, if you will, a sharper turn to the west. Coming up from the south, you'll take a sharp turn to the west, go back into the woods, possibly cross over a creek, and it'll actually follow the western property line of the church. And there's a new condo development looking to go north of like Jefferson Terrace, that area. So that property owner is willing for us to actually weave on their property, so it's actually going to be a really nice amenity, be more scenic. It won't be as much, quote unquote, in the way of the folks that are there for cemetery reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And it would also better assess the potential condo development. So it'd be actually much nicer, probably more expensive, but we're working our way through that.
There's some major big oaks back there.
So that's one thing we're going to have Greg do, is actually go back and figure out where it should be. So it won't be a straight shot. Like you said, there are some nice trees. We're going to try to weave around them in a nice way, and property off. It wouldn't affect the development because you can't burn things back in the woods anyway. It's going to be, I think, a much nicer option. The Forest Home, the county told us that they would put a trail on the southern part only. That's basically from the, if you will, Muskego line, up to the first crossing of the trail, where the hike bike trail crosses Forest Home. That's all we're getting, so it's not going to be as much as we were hoping, but it's something. It'll at least get people up to the trail. And county's planning on construction in 2020 trail, and county's planning on construction in 2023. So next year the road will be shut down through traffic, and they'll be tearing it up, and may or may not be open for Labor Day. So that'll be interesting to see how that goes.
What road?
Forest Home.
Did they say why?
Why what?
Why they're not, if it's only the southern section of that trail?
It's too much work. They would have to basically acquire additional right-of-way, and there's other wetlands and other things in the way. So they would, to really do the trail right, you need to buy additional property. It is quick to construction. We just didn't have the time to make that happen.
Okay, because if they don't construct it, then it's still in the court. You would have to
Okay.
consider an alternative.
Some other time in the future.
Yeah.
Church Street, as we mentioned, the side, it's really a, if you will, a concrete shoulder for the road, and got a rumble strip in between, and you'll see a few flexible ballards go up in between. So it'll get people to a place to bike and walk, and not be in the way of the traffic as they come around that corner. So
It does, it looks really good.
thanks. State Trunk Highway 100. I think last time I talked to you, I was getting ready to go to Common Council. In the beginning, DOT told us that they estimated our part to be about 600,000, and they about 600,000, and they pretty much doubled it. I think it's like about 1.2 million. The reason why is because there are some places where they would have had to buy additional right of way. So what they did was they moved the trail close to the road, put it up on a curb, and some other issues that caused it to just cost a lot more than what the original scope was. Common Council said they were still okay with that. So it is going to be a major connection point for the trail system. When you look at the map of Franklin, that's really going to be a nice street all the way up to St. Martin's, and then it'll basically get you all the way to Hell's Corners once DOT they do the other projects. So it's really going to be. I'm glad they made that decision. And again, those are, we just talked about funding, but these are park impact fees that have to be spent. So if you're going to spend them on something that's worthwhile. So it's good. That later on the agenda, I may wait to talk about that one and do Water Tower Park later. So we can talk about those later in the other agenda.
Quick question.
Sure.
Have you informed the Fair Commission yet that they might have a closure for the
So I believe I sent that notice to all the aldermen. I think somebody said they were going to forward that to somebody on the commission. So I have not, but I think somebody did.
Okay, so just want to make sure that's not a last minute surprise for those. Okay, so just want to make sure that's not a last minute surprise for those folks.
I think they'll get plenty of heads up when they see the road tour up
Yeah,
there.
probably so.
So it'll be shut down pretty much all summer.
We will carry on. New business, letter A. Request by the Franklin Community Education and Recreation Department to reserve the new pickleball in 2 striped tennis courts at Pleasant View Neighborhood Park for fall pickleball league play, Monday through Thursday, 5 to 8 p.m., Saturday, 9 a.m. to 11:50 a.m., August 20. I could be wrong, but from listening to Mr. Kevin speak, doesn't sound like those will be completed by then.
I can't make any guarantees, I just can't.
So,
Every time I say a date, when 15 reasons come up by contractors
Sure.
or where we can't do it.
so I guess at this time, not knowing if they'll be complete.
Once they are complete, can we just move over? Because we're playing here now. We can't go down there. And we're looking to move to the new courts.
Sure. Would that be moving pickleball from here to there? So this would
The
become
rec,
Sure.
yes.
So then this would become back.
During the times we have it now.
Sure.
So once we,
It sounds like it won't be complete before we meet again in September. So I would think maybe we just hold off and revisit this when we hit the first week in September, and see where we're at with construction. I mean, I'd hate to move something if complete before we meet again in September. So I would think maybe we just hold off and revisit this when we hit the first week in September, and see where we're at with construction. I mean, I'd hate to move something if we don't have a deadline.
I'd like to get a little more detail. So
Yeah.
When you go out there right now, don't.
And see where we're at with construction. I mean, I'd hate to move something if we don't have a deadline.
I'd like to get a little more detail. So
Yeah.
When you go out there right now, don't be alarmed. I will tell you that contractors had a sub who went in on trying to put some posts in.
oh no.
Didn't do a great job at it. We haven't done a punch list, but we had a large meeting where we walked around and everything from the trash dumpster to the trail to the pickleball court. Can't find good help these days. You hear that from everyone, but we made a point that so there's going to be a lot of fixing needs to be done. They're going to I don't wanna say patching, but we want it done right, so we don't wanna turn it loose and have people out there trying to trip over little holes and stuff
Yeah.
in the surface.
That's awful. I mean, when you say patching on a brand new court, you know what I mean?
It sounds, they bring this infrared heat and they basically heat up the asphalt, throw a little more asphalt in it, rake it out and some of those kinds of things, but they boogered it up pretty good when they brought some machines in there to do some stuff, so it's,
Do you get like a warranty on this?
we would do, yeah, so, it's not quickly, depending on exactly what they're doing, so. But I just wanted you to be aware, so in case you walk out there, I don't want you to think that we fell asleep at the wheel.
Sure.
We've had the contractor and consultants out there and said, hey, we'll make sure it's done right.
Mm-hmm.
Was the Alderman if you just step over?
Mm-hmm.
Was the Alderman if you just step over?
She was not me.
All right, and then like moving forward with requests, I mean, I don't know what everybody else's thoughts are. I would just like to become clear with the request from the rec department. Become clear with the request from the rec department. So are they looking to move all pickleball away from Lions Legends and over to Pleasant View then for the future?
Until hopefully someday we have two 8 courts together. Yeah.
Okay, absolutely. I'm just looking to make sure that, you know, a mom and a kid have a place that's open.
Yeah, well, yes,
Yeah.
because we would not be up here.
Okay.
I mean, people might come up and
Sure.
play, but not with the rec, not
The
with
rec.
the program.
Okay,
Right.
excellent. I don't know how everybody else feels, but I would think at this time
Able to September?
I would think so.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? The ayes have it.
I will let the rec department know because
We'll move on to letter C, request by the Chap family, City of Franklin residents for a bounce house installation for a birthday party at Kayla's Playground. Saturday, August 27th from 10 to 6 p.m. Includes setup and cleanup time.
this we're putting together the proposed agenda for this meeting, and I did not receive a follow-up from the requester, so I don't know that she intends to proceed. So there's no action for this.
Okay.
As the older person for the district, I'm kind of not in favor of this. I think it opens a lot of potential for a lot of issues, especially on a very busy day in that park, for that length of time. I just see it becoming a free-for-all.
Be interesting what Michelle thinks. I would think she'd think the same way.
I would think so. Certainly don't want to speak for her, but,
I did request from the requester, typically we would require location, like draw a picture of where you're gonna put it, and at least letting us know what your expectations of public works are before we put an item on the agenda, but it was kind of like very last minute.
Sure.
So she did not provide that information, and without it entertained.
Right. Does the city require insurance to come with these?
I don't believe so. There's permitting requirements, so that they have to do the permit for the pavilion, but it's just members of the public. They wouldn't necessarily be carrying extra insurance for an event, a birthday party.
Sure.
That's what it was. Really be carrying extra insurance for an
Okay.
event, a birthday party.
Sure.
That's what it was.
And normally, I believe when you rent these things, you can request, you can pay for the additional insurance to cover anything. I know that's what the county does for if you wanted to put up a bounce house or something. And then there's requirements on a bounce house or something. And then there's requirements on staking and
so this is one of those things that we really don't have a solid policy on, and we probably should.
I thought we did. I
Kind of
thought
like,
there was
kind of like
something.
food trucks. I mean, we've got the policy now on food trucks coming in, but,
the insurance?
No, the people hiring for that have to get their own insurance
But
for
we
it.
would need to have proof of insurance
Yes.
before we
Oh,
would
yeah.
allow that.
Yes.
Dollar policy.
I mean, I guess my inclination is move to deny,
Sure.
and we can review policies about this in the future and how we'd wanna handle, but I think,
Well, I guess if they didn't provide the necessary information that was asked for them, I don't think we even have the right to entertain a look at it. If they were asked to provide a site plan and they chose not to.
so would the motion then be appropriate as a table indefinitely rather than a deny?
I think either is fine.
Maybe table and make a policy, so.
Especially at that part because it's so busy there. It's-
And I really would
Right.
wanna have Shelley's input
Right,
Yep.
and for something like that.
right.
Sounds good to me. Do we need to make a motion for the table, or is it just table, or is it just?
I'll make that motion
To read.
We need a motion?
to table indefinitely pending future conversations about policy or,
Then I'll second that.
All in favor?
aye.
Anybody opposed? Excellent, the ayes have it. We will then move on to letter D, design of water tower park.
So, as I mentioned earlier, there's a great desire to spend parking impact fees, sooner rather than later. There, water tower park that we purchased, and every time the buckhorn started to pop back up. But, we've known from the beginning that we're gonna be building a water tower there. We haven't put that out to bid yet, but when we do find a contractor, it's gonna take them a good year and a half, maybe 2 years, depending on everything else. Nowadays, you can't order it like you used to, everything else. Nowadays, you can't order it like you used to. But the thought is that we'd like to at least refresh get the wetlands up and running. If we could do that, because every biofilter wetlands project I've ever been part of, go out there with a grand opening, ribbon cutting, and everybody goes, yuck, is this it? Because the plants haven't been established yet. So I would love to get the plants established early and get them going. Having said that, it'd be nice for that person or that company to work hand in hand with the actual consultant who's doing the overall park. We talked about, we looked at 3 firms doing the quote-unquote Southwest Park, whatever that may be. Meanwhile, and this happens to be, and we selected R.A. Smith, but we haven't turned them loose to design a park yet. But R.A. Smith was also the one that did the wetland delineation for Water Tower Park. So we selected them for just a general park design to ask them to give us a proposal for design of this park. In addition, Root Pike Land, we the city have asked them to help us go through the process to find consultants for all the wetland plants and so forth and so forth. So ideally, I'd like to have R.A. Smith together so that they know if they put a bench in a certain spot that there is going to be some pretty plants to look at, those kinds of things. I know we've said this is going to be a passive park, but there's been a lot of discussion on a disc golf course. Maybe this might be the place to do a disc golf course. It's not in the way of anything else, and because we know we can't, pickleballs and those kinds of things attract too many people at one time, so this isn't the place to do that. But the layout may work out for maybe something like, we talked about passive with the walkway, but I think maybe disc golf might be something worth considering. But there'd be the parking area plus the restroom facility, shelter kind of, the parking area plus the restroom facility, shelter kind of thing. Not a full shelter to rent out, but at least a little kiosk, if you go bathroom. At least that's what I have envisioned. So I gave you a proposal from R.A. Smith. I just got this today. I would like to take the Common Council and ask today. I would like to take the Common Council and ask them to consider this work. I still have some work with RA Smith to do to get it into our format. But then in addition, I've given you a copy of something from Root Pike Wind. This is a request for qualifications. Ignore all the dates in there because I delayed this a little bit myself, but the idea is that they would actually send this out to people that specialize in the wetland plants, if you will, restoration. This, I think it's in good shape. So I don't know if you had time to read this since I put it at your desk. So like that. I don't necessarily think that I need a motion from you. It would help if you did have one, but I'd like to take these to common council. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and tell Ruth I want to find a consultant that can do this work, and then RA Smith is the one I would recommend. Again, to remind you, you've already selected this firm to do a project for Southwest Park. If it's okay with you, that one I'd like to have a recommendation to common council to hire RA Smith to do the design of this park. So I could have my water tower designer, RA Smith, the park designer, and the yet to be determined wetland designer who would design the scrapes, the plants, and so forth. If they could all work together, that would be awesome to make sure that happens. So if the water tower's done, we can open up the public. It looks like a nice, make sure that happens. So if the water tower's done, we can open up the public. It looks like a nice park that's ready to go.
I want to note for the commission too that there is some discussion of the types of input that you guys would have in this proposal from RA Smith. So any site plan that we're doing would come to this commission at some point once the concept is sort of, because it's going to be very much dependent on the configuration of natural resources. You guys know that there's a pretty significant wetland complex in this park that we're going to do our best to not impact unless it's necessary for a trail crossing. So.
The commission recommend to common council to retain RA Smith as the designer for the water tower park plan.
Would it add any weight if we included, we also recommend using Root Pike in conjunction with them, just, or it may not be necessary, but would it add any weight?
Root Pike Wind has already been authorized by common council to help us in the process. And they actually won't be doing the design, they'll help us find the designer consultants.
Okay.
Can I just ask a question? I know it's a little bit off the
Designer consultants.
Okay.
Can I just ask a question? I know it's a little bit off the topic, but they're putting in 2 water towers?
Eventually, yes, they're putting in one now.
And it's because of, we need one? I mean, I don't know any background on it.
So I don't know how much detail you'd like to know, but it's actually split up in 2 zones in the city. And our western zone is very deficient of water. It has been for quite some time, so we need some storage. So that's the thumbnail sketch.
Was this the park that we were gonna do the tree donation things for too?
It would be suitable for that, I mean, because we, just to bring it to speed, if you recall, it's 22 acres,
28.
I think. 28 acres that we purchased, and a vast majority of it was buckthorn. And so we hired a stay out of the wetlands. Having said that, there's still a lot of buckthorns and invasives in the wetlands, which is what the Root Pike project will address. But so the idea is we mowed it down, and now you can at least go out and kind of visualize what's going to go on.
Right.
And,
So when they design it, then they're gonna know exactly what trees are going there and stuff, so.
Survey that's been conducted, and part of the discussion of the design of the park has included like using it for mitigation for other natural resource impacts. So, I mean, as part of the landscape plan.
well, I guess when I've been talking mitigation is because we're improving the wetlands.
Yeah.
That's kind of the idea that we were doing. So, but outside the wetland, we thought about creating some scrapes so it would be more wetland areas. But sure, I'm all for planting trees, not the way of band shells.
I think that would be a cool thing to do. Yay,
Did somebody second it?
I'll
yay.
Did somebody second it?
I'll be happy to second that.
Excellent. All in favor?
I,
Aye.
Anybody opposed? The ayes have it.
This is a comment for the commission that this park is part of what's called the secondary and environment corridor. The wetland is supposed to be pretty nice, and I think it's cool that the park is going to be intentional in preserving some of the natural resources there. So, it's gonna be good.
We'll jump to letter E, Cascade Creek connection.
This could actually be lumped in with the next one also, but, so Cascade Creek and frankly Savannah Trail, been a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, that we had a joint conversation with the county, county park system, Mike's aware of this conversation. Been a ask again about Cascade Creek, so I can never remember the name of this road. So there's Cascade Creek Park that we have, which is at the, if you can imagine, south of Drexel, 60th Street, kind of dead ends into this little park. The idea is we'd like to take a trail from there to connect, is it River Terrace? Yeah, River Terrace Drive. There's already a cow path that people use to get over the trail. The idea is we'd like to improve that and make that connection. So what would happen is you don't have to go up to Drexel or Putes to go across town. You could use our new bridge that we built a few years ago. Plus it just gives people access to the trail. Should be pretty nice. We understand that it will destroy some natural features. It's just there's the wetland, floodplain, large trees that we need to avoid, and so forth. So we're even willing to even divert the trail far south through to get on the city of Milwaukee tree nursery site, if the city would let us to get around it. So I just acknowledge that we're going to be messing up stuff. We're going to try to minimize that, and we would like for the county to work with us, trying to find the best path forward. Today, I submitted each of those applications. I submitted it incorrectly the first time. I submitted for a right of entry permit, and then I was alerted that I needed, and that was a $50 per permit request, and instead it was a land use application. To get permission that they were giving me the discount, they were letting me have the other permits were $50 each instead of the $500 each. So we saved $950, but so be it. We made that application again, so we're asking again, and I think we got the message across that we're willing to work with them. I can't promise them we won't affect things, because we will, but how can we do it to minimize and make it as best we can? So that's what we're trying to do. So I made that application for Cascade Creek. And if I could jump to the next agenda item, Savannah Trail, Cascade Creek. And if I could jump to the next agenda item, Savannah Trail. We've never asked for this in the past, although it's something that just came up. This is part of the Ryan Creek Trail master plan that you just approved a few months ago. Part of that goes through the Franklin Savannah. The Ryan Creek. Would they entertain an option for us? Because there has been some discussion, whether it's east to west, where we've actually had discussions on, for example, if you look just to the east, there is a plot of land that just recently sold. The guy's looking to do a subdivision that would basically the street. And then, if you recall, we're doing we're working with the school to get some across their property. So we can connect from there, or again, on the other side, there's been a lot of discussion on a potential Southwest Park. You know, if we do that one, or if we do all of them, you know, we could, you know, basically get from 112th Street key to it. And they do have some concerns. It's the Ryan Creek. It's a primary environmental corridor. And,
Secondary.
sounds like the most precious corridor we have if you talk to the county.
That's a different reason.
Okay, so anyway, but there's lots of things that they'd like us to look at. I'm willing to do all the soils and slopes and trees and all those birds and bunnies kinds of things. So more than happy to do it. We just need to get in there and look at it. I made that request also this morning with the Cascade Creek. So those are now officially in the county's lap. I'm hoping to invite them to the table when they discuss it. when they discuss it. If they don't invite me to the table, I'd hope they just approve it, so.
Excellent, well, thank you. I believe that covers everything on the agenda for today. Everything on the agenda for today. Taking a look at the next meeting date, it would be
September. Oh,
we're looking at September.
yes.
Yes, so the next meeting date would be September 12th. Fantastic. If there's nothing else,
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I second it.
all in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?